Okay, so during this meeting we're going to do a couple things. The first thing that we're going to look at is how to get into WebEIM, signing in if you've never done that before. After that we're going to look at the reports and what they should look like when you print them out, because we can't actually print them out just yet. So we'll look at the email from Simon back on December 10th. Then we're going to look at a disclaimer about how much text you can put into your little fields there, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Basically, you can only do tweets, so 150 characters. And then finally, we're going to end up with some ways that you can and should not do report comments, and Judith's going to take over from there. So first, we're going to go into WebEIM, and you should have this icon on your... Sorry?
No.
Okay. You should have this icon on your desktop. If you don't, then you can just talk to Caroline or Ash or me. And I'm just going to log in. Whoop. Now, you will go in and you'll be able to go right into instructor resource. So just disregard what I'm doing right now because I don't have a class. I'm just going to go in... Okay, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll come in and you'll go into the instructor resource, then elementary gradebook. And you're going to see something that looks like either this, or it might be modified if you're in preschool, or if you're teaching different single subjects, it's going to look different from the back end here. Now, when you're going through, they've tried to make everything as simple as possible. So when you're selecting things, you'll realize whether you've got to select or you can choose these 4 or 5 different options. If you look at the handouts, you'll see that there's only 4 different options, but what they've done is they've added a not applicable in case it is not applicable.
Can I just say about the not applicable? That was particularly with mathematics, because there was some feedback with people saying some of the strands may not have been covered this time, at this time, because we've taught it and then we're reporting on it. Maybe next year we'll think about, do we want to do all the, if we want to do all the strands before the first report, we'll know beforehand and then we can decide whether we take them out. Okay. But at the moment we put it in everything, even reading, which of course no one will be writing not applicable for reading, hopefully, but there may be some places so it takes a bit more flexibility.
I was thinking it would always stay there because there are children that come halfway through the year.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
So, you know, so if they've been only in the school for 2 weeks before you write the report,
that has, you're right,
would
that has happened.
Non-applicable, wouldn't you, for lots of things?
That will happen. If you have a child who's just before the report, for example, we've got a Japanese child called Rina who's starting in grade 3 next week or the week after. She's not going to have a report at all, so she's not going to have a report that's covered with not applicable.
Oh, okay.
What we do for a child who's just started just before the report is we write a letter, and it's basically a letter saying this child has settled in and this is our first thingies and we look forward to getting to know her over the next term, but we don't issue a report because there's nothing much to report on. Much to report, but a child has just started. Anyway, back to you.
Great. With that said, the next field that we would be concerned with is the levels, and this was sent out to us in, or was it sent out already? From Simon or Ash, and it talks about that the lowest level, number 1, it means that it's actually the lowest level of achievement, whereas a 10 would be really high levels. And there is a guide that is sent to you.
Yeah. I can't do 2 things at once.
Okay. Can you still record?
I can read them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we have the rating scales. Like a 1 to 3 means that they require constant reminders from the teacher, all the way up to 9 to 10, which says that they work independently and highly self-motivated.
And you all got this email today from Simon.
From Simon, yeah. So that's on page 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
If you want to refer back, because I thought that level 1 would be the other way around.
Now, am I right in thinking that this is going to translate as a smiley face on the report?
I'm not sure what the front end is going to look like.
I'm not sure either, but initially when they showed it to us, it was the smiley face sliding scale, but you still need a numerical value to actually say where that smiley face is going to go. So maybe it'll turn out to the number, but I think it's going to be a place on a continuum that this smiley face will go in. So.
Okay. Now, with that said, if you do want to see what the reports look like, if you go into your email and we search for, I have an unread email here, let's see. Oh, my unread email. Simon sent out on December 10th this email, and down here there were the classroom reports and the single subject reports, and this shows what they look like. So I've already got these downloaded, and when you download them, they will come as zip files, and you have to double click and it will open them up into a folder like this. And then you can see, let's look at PE.
Can you look at art, please, as an artist here, because she's never here.
Okay. We'll look at the art report.
I don't mean that. Thank you.
And so this is what the teachers are going to see, or sorry, the parents are going to see when it's printed, ideally.
So I don't have the level thing.
Okay?
That's
when it's smiley face.
So one, he's on the miserable face side. If it's a 10, he's on the happy face.
Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, it is, isn't it? That's what
Oh. And a happy face. Okay. So this report looks quite different than, say, the classroom reports. Which one would you like to look at?
Grade 3.
Grade 3 language. Okay. And so we can see.
That's your statement, that's your effort number. Now, as I understand it, you've got 150 characters for strength and 150 characters for learning goals, and I think that includes spaces.
And I'd
maybe Caroline could show us how we counted those earlier on, so that.
I'd like to show you actually here. So.
That's always you need to be working in Word and cutting and pasting. It's just that once every couple of years, someone loses everything for some reason. So you always want to have a backup on Word.
When you look here, and I think it goes to about there, that's how many characters you have. Let's just be sure. So I'm going to go into the word count, and it shows me that that's 148 characters with spaces. So you look. It's only a line and a half, basically, and that's going to give you.
So it's really.
It's less than a tweet. A tweet is 160 characters. This is 10 characters less than. So, okay. Now, with that said, the other thing that we wanted to look at. This is Judith is going to take this over.
Oh. We were talking about, Simon, we said, look, it would really, really help if we generated a general comment, which should give you some indication of what to go in general comments. So there's in your report guide, there's a list of descriptors for what goes in them, and then there's a sample of what should go in them. In the discussion that we were having, Simon was going, we've prepared one. Well, bless him, we tore him to shreds, and we said, no, we don't like that, and we don't like this, and we don't like the other. And we decided that, well, why don't we write one where there's something wrong with various parts of it? So we did. So we started off, I hope it's slightly tongue-in-cheek. I would say nobody writes a report like this, but I hope it's helpful to you to go, right, so let's write the slightly silly ones first. So you've got a limited number of characters. Oscar is a lovely boy and a pleasure to have in class. It's quite who he is rather than how he's performing. If you look at the sample you've got, it's about he shows, he's caring his behaviour and this is what he does. So it's more evidence-based rather than you're nice and you're not. Because it does imply that Oscar's a lovely boy, but everybody else in the class is not very nice at all. Really.
Some kids aren't nice.
Well, then we put, what's the behaviour that isn't nice? What is it about them? They're not good at sharing, they're unkind to their friends, so something about it rather
it's
than...
developing a sense of empathy, but not quite there yet. Don't we use the PYP attitude?
We do, we use the learner profile and PYP attitude, so we're looking at, what's the behaviour rather than who they are. Next one, you see sometimes, and you really do appreciate mum and dad sometimes for helping with the homework, but the report isn't on mum and dad, so we're not going to write a gold star for mum and dad. I always want to ask, can you see what else we put in. I was happy with his work on inventions and the inventions unit when Oscar made a rocket toilet rolls. What we were thinking there is that you quite often see, well, you don't often see it, occasionally you'll see a report, I was happy about this, it pleased me so and so, and the report's becoming about the teacher rather than an objective report on the child. So try and avoid lots of sentences that start with how happy you are, and try and get it much more focused on the child. Oscar is a concern, and I will be referring him for assessment. Of course, this isn't the place where you announce that. Hopefully the parents know beforehand, and we're not announcing in a report a surprise about assessment. He's very popular with other students. Again, try and get to know what's the behaviour rather than a judgment on him. And way to go, Oscar. I have to say, I quite like way to go, Oscar. But there was a lot of discussion with everybody else going, it's a euphemism. It's not a euphemism, it's very much, if you're from that culture, you might know way to go, Oscar, but if you're struggling with English, it might be a really difficult phrase for you. So way to go might be, or something like that. The next one, we tried another one. Oscar's attention is a concern, similar to the assessment one. You shouldn't be raising concerns here. You can comment on the attention and the how it's been affecting his work, but not be raising concern for the first time. To complete his work, he needs better to sit next to him. If you have to refer to another member of staff, then it's their job title, not their name, because again, the next school who reads this report hasn't a clue who Meta is. So you need to say, to complete his work, you need the teaching assistant to sit next to him. I can't remember what the deadline one was. There always misses deadlines and when work is handed in, it's of a low standard. I'm not sure what that one was. I think that one, and this is the large amount of schools due to extended vacation is unable to work at the level of the class. And also the one about, there's one about here, does a lot of after school activities. It's how much choice has this child got over it. It's not something he can control at all. It's a comment for the parent rather than, because it's the parents who are causing him to miss school rather than the child, or it's the parents who are causing him to do after school activities rather than the child.
So would you say don't put that in the report because it's a comment for the parents? Like that he missed a large amount due to extended vacation. So would you say not to put that in there?
I think you can say he's missed because of an extended vacation, but he has missed because of extended vacation. I think it's the second part. He's unable to work at the level of the class. Not my problem. Can't do anything with him now. He was away. He was in time for the last month, so that's it. He can't do it anymore. So what are we going to do about it?
What would we write
I think
instead?
It would be, he missed large amount of school due to extended vacation, and he is, he's requiring support at home, both at home and in school, in order to try and catch up the work he's missed.
Okay.
Or something like that. Something you can do something with rather than sounds like you've washed your hands of it. And then the last one, which you don't see. Oh, I know what the second one was. The second one was that these comments, they're all negative comments. And you don't see them sometimes, but when you have a negative here and here and here and here, it just ends up sounding like the teacher hates the child, rather than sounding like a genuine report on the child. So it's just watching how to make a constructive comment rather than a negative comment. You very seldom see them all together like that. So just sometimes, I think that's the importance of getting somebody else to read your reports, because you know what you mean, but sometimes somebody else can read it and go.
I think to add on to that, if you read the booklet, they say to bookend it, which is, put the positive comments, then your negatives, then the positive comment at the end, right?
Yeah, and if it is a negative, what you're going to do, what we're going to do about it, that this is where he is now, what are we going to do? So even if the child's a drop off, then what are we doing about it? Even if the behaviour is really